Hi, welcome to TTOG. We're your hosts, Sarah and Anne-Marie. This podcast is not a replacement for therapy. We are therapists. However, we are not providing free therapy.
Welcome back to TTOG. We are your hosts. I'm Anne-Marie.
I'm Sarah.
And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about coping, right?
Yay.
Not bubble baths and, deep breaths, but just a little bit deeper than those kinds of things.
Techniques.
Yes. So, as we always do, we kind of dive into the fact that each topic we kind of talk about has layers.
Right.
And coping skills are not any different, right? It's not, like I said, it's not bubble baths and Pinterest kind, but it is real stuff that really helps you hold it together when life is super heavy.
Agreed.
Yes.
I feel like people think coping is like so easy too. And if you're not used to using coping skills, then applying them to your life can be a little challenging.
Right. And applying them to your life wherever it looks stressful. So either work, emotional, or like something deeper, as in like traumatic things that may happen throughout life.
I know, coping
how we cope.
Definitely different to everybody.
Yeah. And everybody, again, has different ways to cope.
We sure do.
But coping skills aren't equal to everyone, right? My journaling and your journaling, much different.
Yes, much more organized, much more listy.
How do you know what mine looks like? And I'm just kidding. And there are coping skills that help us survive, and there are also that help us kind of, I guess, get us through the trenches that we're in.
Right. I use some of my coping I use every day.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Right.
Day.
But they also, don't you feel like sometimes they also can keep us stuck?
Yeah, I do. And I also feel like we can depend on them. And they're just used to help, not to be dependent on. I definitely feel like that. That's a good one.
Right.
That's a good point.
You know? And like coping skills are for you to have when you need them the most but least expect it.
Nice. Good one.
It's like a tool belt. Not every carpenter or person that uses those tools uses every single tool every single time. You never know when you're going to need an X-Acto knife.
And there's different types of skills, and they're not always the answer, you know? Like, I feel like I see this trend lately of people just wanting to know, like, I'm fine, I just need to cope. Or, like, I'm fine, I just need the skills. And, like, that's just, it's not a fix. Like, coping isn't a fix, you know?
I think, too, that we can break down, like, what healthy coping and what versus unhealthy coping kind of can look like.
Okay, I like it.
Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Okay. So what even is coping skills? So I have some notes, clearly, as I'm staring at my phone. I have really laid this out today. So you can kind of relax today.
I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, Sarah can just sit there and look pretty. Okay, so first, let's define it. So this is the working definition. Coping skills are the strategies we use to manage difficult emotions. Some are conscious, like journaling or calling a friend, and some are automatic, like numbing out to a show or shutting down completely. Right?
That's the definition.
Well,
like the...
Yeah, so the working definition is strategies that we use to manage difficult emotions, and then consciously and then subconsciously.
Which is so strange to me because it's not just difficult emotions. I mean, I cope with being overstimulated, and that's a lot of happy emotions.
Okay.
You know?
What did you just say? Happy emotions, right? Overstimulated or overwhelmed is an emotion.
Well, right. I don't know. No, I like yours, the first one. But the legit definition, I just think that that's so black and white. Like, intense emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I cope. I feel like some people can use coping skills for like an everyday routine or your everyday life. For nothing intense and just like a tool book for life.
But as you know, typically how we utilize coping skills or how we call out when we need to use a coping skill, not everyone knows that they're using a coping skill when they're using a coping skill.
I agree.
Right, you know what I mean? So your brain going right now is because you've learned what a coping skill is and how to utilize them when very effectively throughout the day without even having the large emotions.
Right.
Like we're talking like, you know, when you're young, like how to use a coping skill, what deep breaths literally look like and why they're effective.
True.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
We're there. And like we all do it, right? So we consciously do things to cope and we also automatically cope without even knowing it. I think that's what I was saying.
Yeah, I definitely
and
agree
what you
with that.
mean.
Yeah. Like our body's response.
Yes.
Or reaction to things.
Yeah. Like, oh, I just need to go take a nap. Like that's sometimes coping.
Right.
If you're, you know, if you cried a lot, it's like, okay, now I just need to go lay down or I need to go rest.
I'm just emotionally drained right now.
Right. And that's how we coped. But you and me know that that is how they coped. Them, they're just, here's my reaction. Here's like all of my emotions. I know that I need to chill out, but they can't define it as I'm coping.
No.
Right?
I like it.
And there obviously are unhealthy coping skills that I think the unhealthy to me means you're in survival mode.
I agree with that for sure, 110%, because staying with, I guess, the same theme of being emotionally drained, there's a lot of people that like to avoid, which I'm not judging, but like that's definitely not healthy. Avoiding the problem, avoiding the person, avoiding the scene,
like almost like when you're doing that, you're protecting yourself, and it's not a shameful thing to protect yourself in those moments when you feel like, you know, something bad is happening.
Right. Your inner child.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that one.
Inner whatever.
Yeah. Right. And I found this quote that I kind of want to dive into. Okay. It's a quote by a trauma therapist, actually, Britt Frank. She says, "You don't have bad coping skills. You have skills that worked under unbearable conditions."
Read that again.
Okay. You don't have bad coping skills. You have skills that worked under unbearable conditions.
Wow.
I found that one to be so, like, meaningful because...
and very intense.
Yeah.
We have to break that down for our viewers because even me, I'm like, oh.
I know that gave me chills. That means it, like, means a lot to you. Right. Yeah. Do you ever get that place, like when you hear something that's so profound and so meaningful, like you just get those chills up your back.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So when you hear someone's story or whatever, you hear your best friend's story and like you just like, oh my gosh.
Right.
It's amazing.
I know.
It's amazing. So I got that when I first read that, and I still got it when I just read it again. So that means that it's an impactful thing. So when you think about bad coping skills, okay? I think bad coping skills as using substances every single time to cope.
Right. Correct.
Me, shopping every time I have a negative interaction, maybe.
I agree.
To me, that would be negative coping skills.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Utilizing, illegal drugs, utilizing, something that is bad to me and to you is different.
Right.
Right. It could even be a bad coping skill, in my opinion. Let's say you're, in an argument with a significant other and you just completely leave out of rage and you start driving, even though, you're in a rageful state. Like, is that a bad coping skill in that moment?
Right. Like, to me, you're avoiding bad coping skill. To somebody else, it could be good coping skill because I'm taking myself out of the situation because I know I'm going to be reactive.
Correct. So how you break down that quote really is what? Subjective.
Right.
And reflecting on what could I have done differently after that situation.
And that kind of goes hand in hand with our last episode of like, that is so subjective, which is how things are supposed to be in therapy. And like, this specific quote is from somebody that is in the field, not just some random person putting information out there. That is why it's so subjective. And it feels like it can be used in any different way. So,
yeah, you really have to just look at yourself in those situations specifically to understand whether that was a good or bad choice of a skill that you use or learned. I guess that's the next thing that I kind of wrote down was that a coping skill also sometimes is an instinct that you have. Right? So whether it's isolate,
right,
or whether it's overwork yourself when you're feeling stressed, that's not random. That is something that you learned.
That's a good observation.
Right?
And you can learn behavior can be through anything. Like, it can be recent. Like, I could have learned some specific behavior from you being with you all the time as an intern, Like, it could happen very fast, or it can be something from childhood that your parents kind of set the precedence for, and now you feel like that's the same thing. I feel like people don't realize that learned behavior can be picked up anytime, anywhere, from anyone.
Right.
It's just something that's consistent that really goes into it. Like, what's consistent about that created that behavior into your life.
Right. So, and how we cope. So, right, if every single time I feel stressed and overworked or overwhelmed and I go shopping every single time, that's a learned behavior. My body then is going to instinctively
correlate the two with
correct.
Okay, overwhelmed, sad, depressed,
shop.
Right.
Like, it almost like feeds it to you. Like, you have the urge, like, go do that.
I feel like mine is, oh my God, mine's very unhealthy, but whatever.
We're going to get there. We're going into now healthy.
You're like, we're going to get there to your specific negative coping skill.
We're going to talk about that. No, we're going to talk about what that kind of can look like for us.
Okay.
So healthy versus unhealthy coping skills. So learning about therapists, I guess, what would be your idea of a coping skill before then? What did that look like for you?
I feel like I was always a big journaler, though, or reading. Before therapy, like before being a client or being a therapist?
Before being a therapist.
Okay. So, I don't know, because I was in therapy before being a therapist, so I was always aware of coping skills. I guess before everything, before any knowledge on coping skills, it would be anything that was comforting to me. So my favorite movie, my favorite show, a good book, like my favorite music, a bath, like kind of going along with those self-care things. I always correlated taking care of myself as coping with negative or positive emotions. Anything self-care always made me feel better. So no matter what state I'm in, I will feel better if I do self-care.
Right. And that is still pretty true for you.
Right.
Right. So like
which
that's
I don't know where I learned that behavior.
You learned it from you.
Right.
Right? Do you know what I mean? So okay, so healthy coping skills that it might look like moving your body in the way that it may feel good, right? Whatever that looks like. Saying no when you need to.
Do you see what I have for you?
Oh, she's really doing it, people.
I don't think you can see.
Naming your feelings instead of pushing them down. Taking intentional time to feel instead of avoid. Right?
Do you want me to throw something over there now or later?
Why?
You're like, we'll get there. Boom, we're there.
These weren't for you. I'm sorry. They are directly at you. These, oh my gosh, they're really not though.
I'm just kidding. I'm dying right now. This is so funny. No, I definitely am an avoidant.
You're so funny. Okay.
Now you're reading them back and you're like, oh.
I am a little bit. I'm sorry. Wow. No, this was like.
This adds to the dialogue and the comedy of this podcast.
This is kind of funny.
She did it on purpose.
I mean, you want to have.
Anyway, moving on.
So I guess for me, so before being a therapist, learning about being a therapist or therapy, I think for me, my healthy coping skill was definitely playing sports. That was like my just go-to. Just move your body. Even if you got to run around the block for like 10 times, someone time me. That was my thing. I'm like, Mom, come on the porch and like just time me. Let's see how fast I can get around the block. It's crazy.
I'm like, I'll watch you.
Oh my God.
Go.
So like in that way, it was almost like my brain is in overload. I need to move my body.
Right.
To be able to stimulate myself enough where then at night I had no problem going to bed because I was so physically tired.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of times what I even see now, you know, when the clients I've had or have now are we get so mentally drained with all of the things that are happening.
Burnt out,
right? Where then it just becomes you can't sleep. And then we get into now what do we need to do to cope with that? Right? So it like becomes these layers.
Right.
It becomes a huge, huge, huge big, layer of cake.
Right.
Where it's now not just the thing that we're overwhelmed about. It's now I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. I can't even function. I can't think straight. And now I don't know what to do about anything. Now it's the next day. Now I'm going to drink all the coffee or I'm going to drink all of the caffeine.
Which, ding, 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 caffeine going to make the cycle worse and faster. Because then you're going to get anxious AF. Try not to swear on the podcast anymore. And the anxious is going to make you want to cope with that. You're going to be like, okay, how do I cope with my anxiety and the physical side effects of this anxiety? To get through the work day, get through the school day, get through the mom day, like all of the above. And then that's more of the layers. Coping with that, coping with this, coping with like...
Right, and then it becomes way too much because now we have to cope with everything.
Right, and then I also feel like people tend to think that coping is not a Band-Aid. Like... You can't just put a Band-Aid on something and then assume that it's going to get better. Like, you have to be proactive with those coping skills. And they sometimes aren't going to work. I hate to say it, but like...
Yeah, shopping never works. Like, I'm not kidding. It never works for me.
Right.
Ever.
Like, you have to try a new... Like, keeping the Band-Aid theme... You're going to have to try different things to heal that wound, you know? You're going to have to try different techniques, different everything to see what works. And that's something that I feel like is definitely very prevalent right now in a lot of people. Is just thinking that coping is that Band-Aid that needs to go on, and then
Right, it's not just a bubble bath.
right.
In that moment, that's amazing. Right? Utilizing that coping skill
Right.
is amazing because you allow yourself to then come down from that heightened sense of emotions. But like, now what are we going to do after? Now there's still an after effect. The emotions then are still going to come running.
Yeah, you're honestly just distracting yourself.
Correct.
And if you're not being proactive about those things, then that's all it's going to be, is a distraction, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then the flip side of that would be some examples of unhealthy coping skills.
What are yours?
Mine, I think pre-therapist, not gonna lie, I used to definitely consume some beverages, many of them, and
Really?
shop. Yeah. Yeah, I liked to have a good time.
Okay, what's your therapist bad coping skills?
Bad coping skills? Like what I tell people is bad, or now that I'm a therapist, what I do?
Yeah, I don't care about...
I drink like 20 cups of coffee. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
I do not. No, I don't.
Anymore, because I put that in for you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
No coffee past 3 p.m. for Anne Marie.
I don't know. I feel like I'm now back at 12, which is great.
That's great. You did that yourself. Didn't even have to put it in
behavior. Thank you. But
learned behavior.
Yes.
Learned behavior.
Right, because subconsciously my automatic is, well, just go do this. Just go,
Right.
just distract yourself.
Right.
You know, just ignore it. Like push it down.
This will do the
push it
boost
down.
of dopamine for 5-ish minutes.
Yeah.
And then you can deal with it maybe after. But now at least you have something good from shopping that will help you deal with it after. Like,
right.
No,
like,
brain.
Yeah. Like, 2, I guess I'd say also would be a negative coping skill that I typically do because I can't control everything is clean.
I like, yeah. See, and
it's great. It's like a double-edged sword.
I agree with you on that one with the, like, I consider it to be bad because it takes up, like, I don't even know.
Your brain power. Right. It doesn't have to just be substance use, right? It doesn't have to be just.
And for me, I guess that goes hand in hand with when I look at my bedroom and it's spotless, I know that I have stuff on my mind, but I'm trying to hide it. And then when my bedroom is a disaster, I know that my brain looks just like my bedroom right now, and I don't feel like dealing with it. And that's a weird take, because you would think that when you have the energy to clean and straighten up your bedroom, organize things, is when you're at your most calm mental state. But for me, I find that when my bedroom is clean, I'm just trying to occupy my mind so I don't have to deal with it. And then I hate seeing the clutter because I'm reminded about all the shit that's in my head.
Wow.
Right? Isn't that weird?
Right.
Weird little, like...
So it's like, you know, you've heard it a million times probably while I talk to people in therapy, you know, give it here. It's like, you know, our brain is only as organized as you believe it to be. And when things are calm, things are in order,
right,
that is the best time to do the hardest work, because that is when your mind is not overstimulated. Right? So like when you're in survival mode, when you're doing probably the negative coping skills and stuff like that, is not the time to dig deep into past traumas and
I
like
love it.
do
I
all the
love
things.
that.
No, that's the time to just survive and just do those things
Right.
and to like do baby steps.
Right.
To
Do the things that make you temporarily happy for a little
correct
bit.
for right now.
Right.
And then when it is calm, when your room is clean, that is the time to then say, okay, there's still something on my mind. There's still stuff I need to
Right.
work on.
Right.
What am I going to work on? What is that thing that
Agreed.
keeps nagging in my brain? Whatever that looks like, right?
I love that one, actually.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell myself that now, to be honest. Like, my room's clean,
What
but
is that
why
thing?
is it clean?
What's the thing?
Like it.
Right? Obviously doom scrolling. That's like,
What did you say?
doom scrolling.
Oh.
Is like, ones that we hear and ones that we know that people do to cope.
I know. Like, what's gonna make you... I'm such a sucker for this. Like, I'm not kidding. But, like, what is gonna make you feel better about watching everyone else's life and their highlight reels of their perfect life? That's gonna make you feel better? Okay.
Yeah. Bet that one.
Right. Or, like, the fake news
Right.
on TikTok.
Yeah, it stinks.
It really does.
It stinks that is what we hear so much.
Right.
And that's what we see. Right? Like utilizing your phone for productivity
Right.
is what it's intended to use.
Correct.
For accessibility.
I bought an iPad, people.
Right?
I couldn't be trusted with my phone.
Right.
So now I shop on my iPad.
Oh my God, you're hilarious.
I'm just kidding.
Also another unhealthy one that I'd say would be like picking fights to relieve tension.
Oh, to relieve tension?
Yeah. It's almost like
fights.
for the shit of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Let's just do it.
What do you mean to relieve tension? I need more on this because I never thought about it that way. I thought that I just, not that we're in therapy session, but like I pick fights because I need to know that you still like have some emotion in there. Or I need to know that I care enough to fight or to pick a fight. Like if I don't pick a fight, then I really don't care about you.
Yeah, there's a difference,
Right?
but there can be, I guess there's not one size fits, suits all.
Right.
We can pick a fight to just pick a fight, or we can pick a fight maybe because we have pain in our body. Right? If we're feeling like, if there's a headache in there, like, right? Or if we have physical pain, like let's say our back hurts and like, we just worked all day and maybe you have a physical tasking job and you come home and it's like, boom, I'm going to pick a fight because pain, misery loves company.
Yeah, I've heard that one before, I guess.
Right?
Now that you say it like that.
Unhealthy coping skill.
Okay.
Okay. I guess things that can look healthy but also can kind of look unhealthy too would be overachieving.
Right. Like if you underachieve, then that's starting to be unhealthy. Okay.
Hyperproductivity. I got that.
Yeah.
I got that. When I'm unmotivated,
Right.
like what did I say the other day? Literally don't even want to move.
I know. That's so common though sometimes in this field.
Right. Or perfectionism. We both got that. High five. High five.
Can we stop that?
Right.
Really not healthy for me.
Right.
It's not attainable either.
And it's like those things will go into another episode, but those dress up our trauma responses.
Yeah. Next episode. Skip.
Right. You're right. I guess what brings the most important part of this is how to shift the patterns of these skills. right? Like how to maybe look at these coping skills
Right.
to shift what that pattern looks like for you.
Right.
Right? So building a actual toolkit that will be effective for you.
And that you'll actually use. Like, people think we just say shit to say shit. Like, we really don't.
Right.
We really don't. Like,
Right.
we really know what we're talking about. And
Right.
if you're not going to do it, don't bother.
Right.
Like, I say that a lot to my clients. Is like, I'm going to give you these examples to put in there, but like if you know you're not going to do them, don't even bother putting them in there, and we can come up with something else, because we are not going to just fill that toolbox just to fill it. Like, you want to fill it because you know that the things that are in there are attainable for you, and like that goal setting process.
Like, you'll do it doesn't mean that it's going to work.
Right.
Right?
So
So
you'll try.
exactly. It's tangible enough for you to do.
Correct.
Right? It's not like these, I will journal, an hour a day. It's like,
But like also great, but why are you journaling an hour a day?
right, if you have that much.
Because if you are just doing it to be like, hi, today I felt blah, the weather was blah. Like, why are we doing that? Because we can't look back on that and be like, okay, look at how I grew. If every journal entry looks like that,
Right.
it looks super staged, So, okay, great. You want to journal once a day for an hour, but why?
Yeah.
And what?
Makes sense.
And that can look like for all the coping skills, not just journaling. Like, why are we doing that? For what? And when?
Right. So 4 questions that you can ask yourself to start building your toolkit would be: what calms my body? What helps me feel connected? What gives me clarity or perspective? What helps me release tension safely?
Are you going to answer those for you?
Right now?
And then me? Or do we have more to talk about before we end?
No, I think we'd be able to do that. No, we can do that.
Let's do it.
Okay. So what calms my body? I know physical exertion also still is one that's very factual for me. That definitely calms my body.
Okay.
And sleep. Crucial that I have
You're
those.
so funny. I feel like we touch on sleep every episode. And how you and
Because
sleep are best friends.
So we are. We're definitely married.
Okay.
How about you?
Wait, you're going to have to read them off again because my memory is shot.
What calms my body?
Self-care.
Okay. I like it.
And sleep, but more self-care, because I use sleep as a form of avoidance, not soothing. So I try not to list that as something that's self-soothing.
I like it.
So, self-care.
Okay. What helps me feel connected? I don't do it daily, and I definitely think I should start up again. But the mornings where I wake up before everyone and have at least, at the bare minimum, 10 minutes with my thoughts and how I'm going to start my day.
I never did that, and that sounds very, very nice.
Yeah. It just helps me stay within myself. Stay connected to the day, to stay connected to me, that it's just not going to be out of control.
So read it again for me. I'm sorry.
What helps me feel connected?
This is going to be, everyone's going to get annoyed about this, but coming to see you, like literally coming to the office and being at work with you, like I know that I'm connected in all ways of my life, like work, school. I don't even care if we don't have clients. Like if we are together in that room or one of our offices, like I feel the most connected, because I know that no matter what is going on, I'm focused on something.
And not all the noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what helps me. However you can get there, right? It's so different, right, for me and you. What gives me clarity or perspective? Oh man, and this is like it's so
loaded
nice.
question.
Like this is really loaded, but I'm not kidding. Like this profession gives me so much clarity and so much perspective all at the same freaking time, and I love it. It like one humbles me, and it brings me perspective because it's like man, sure my freaking coping skill is shopping, but I'm sitting across from someone that like legitimately can't do that. That like it breaks my heart, and it then allows me to have perspective of like, Amory, like you don't got it that bad. Brings me perspective and clarity that maybe I want to change that pattern for me.
Yeah, I think mine would be two things. My own therapy, because then I go home and I can reflect. It's like the one time, that hour a week is the one time that I don't have to be a therapist.
Yeah.
For everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I love my job, I really do. Mm-hmm. But like, I'm talking about like your family and friends asking for advice, mm-hmm. and this and that asking for advice. And I'm not talking about the client or your book or the people that you see every week for mm-hmm. work, but mm-hmm. everywhere else in my life, I know that I can underperform in therapy in my hour. And I made a joke like today, and I actually was there today, and I made a joke of, let me just stop talking about like that and just be a client. Like, let me just be a client.
Yeah.
Because I can't so much. So mm-hmm. that, and then also hand in hand with what you said, working with kids puts things into so much perspective, whether that be like, oh wow, like this is what you struggle with, mm-hmm. like, or oh wow, I pray that I'm doing the right thing for you, because this is a huge thing mm-hmm. to me, and I can't imagine how that feels for a child. So
yeah. And the last question is, what helps me release tension safely? Honestly, like taking a shower is probably one of the best ways that like I really like, here's the day. Done.
I think Pilates.
Done.
Oh my God, I just love Pilates. It's dark in there. All you're focused on is like slow and focused movement, and mm-hmm. you literally don't have any room to think about anything else. Mm-hmm. You can't check your phone. Mm-hmm. There's no time. There's no nothing. Like that hour every single day, or however much you go, mm-hmm. is amazing. Like it's better than the gym, because at the gym, I'm constantly changing my song. I'm constantly looking at my phone in between sets or in between machines, or staring at something while I'm on the treadmill or the stairs. Yeah. And Pilates is just so different. Like it just takes you out of that and puts you in this separate world. And when you come, well, at least when I come out, I feel like so at peace.
I love that.
So
right. And like, again, like these are not just short-term skills. Sometimes they can be, but the questions is most important. Like, what can the long-term skills be, not just in those moments of survival, are really important. And I think I put a few like underrated tools that I know as a therapist. Is there an underrated tool that you feel like people are like really, I gotta do that?
Journaling.
Right.
Come on.
It's the
like
most underrated thing in the world.
Down.
Like, yeah, it
or
is.
Like deep breathing. I'm so sorry.
Yes, that's my number one. My number one was deep breathing.
Like getting oxygen to your brain, or the amount of oxygen to your brain. Hello? Are we serious?
Like that's free. And it's free. It's free and it's always available.
A pen and paper, or a pen and something, or your phone, your notes in your phone. Journaling's free and always available, people. Okay? Right. And if it's not, please come see us. I will give you a pen and a piece of paper.
Yeah.
For the whole entire week. You don't even have to be a client.
Right. Body scans. Literally going head to toe. Where am I right now? This is free.
Like that. See, and I need to be better at doing that one, because then you're physically aware of like what do you feel here? 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 That's a good one.
Utilizing all of your senses. It's so underrated. Voice notes to yourself.
We love voice notes.
They're like our jam.
We love voice memos. We love voice everything. Yes. I think we like to hear ourselves and hear each other.
Right.
And it's amazing. I agree. Love that one.
And my last but not least, and actually my most favorite, are repeating affirmations.
Not a fan. I wish I was a fan.
It's cheesy.
I'm a fan for other people.
Cheesy,
I'm
but
the
powerful.
therapist that will tell you to do that because it works, but I can't do it myself because I'm not there yet in my own journey.
It's not there. It's not there. Like, we can do hard things. Like, that's like my one favorite one. I always tell people, like, we can do hard things. We do them every single day.
Right. I can do that when, like, I talk to my little baby picture in my mirror. Just not to my adult self. But we'll get there.
Right. I think that's kind of the recap was knowing what a coping skill is, defining what healthy and unhealthy coping skills are for each of you, right, for yourselves, and maybe going deeper into what will actually work for you. What tools can you create for yourself that when you least expect it, but when you most need it, the tools are available for them.
I love that recap.
So
amazing.
Thank you. I thought, I was like, let me give Sarah a break from using her phone.
I just get this.
Right? So again, if you guys have a coping skill that you want to share with us that works for you, or want to run up, DM us or message us somehow.
Put your favorite coping skill in the comments if you're on YouTube. And then if you're not, I'll make sure that this is one of the shorts that we post on our Instagram so you guys can comment your favorite coping skill. And if you don't have a favorite coping skill, you can comment one that you would like to start using that we mentioned.
Right.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, I think that concludes this week's episode. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.
Time. Bye.